We are the ones who live here.
نحن يلي عايشين هون.
And we are proud to share with you these stories of life in Lebanon. In this episode, our associate producer, Lyne Jradi, shares with us this meditation on memory, grief, and bread.
I stare outside my window as the sun begins to rise, the dark sky turning to hues of blue, blending with a soft pink. The sun hides behind the mountains, and I wait for it to come and meet me. Dawn is the only time I can truly breathe in freely, the only time I can breathe cool, fresh air that isn't mixed with the oil exhaust from cars. The shahrur, the blackbird, flies in from afar and lands on the highest branch of a poplar tree, one that my dad planted in our garden because I told him that it was my favorite. The leaves of the poplar tree echo the sounds of waves in the wind, whooshing, ebbing, and flowing. The shahrur sings softly to remind me of days that passed and have turned into fragmented memories. As the shahrur sings, my grandfather, my father's father, would wake up from his bed before sunrise and prepare breakfast for me before school. Jiddu was very calm in the mornings. He would pray Fajr, the morning prayer, every day, make his coffee, sit on his navy blue couch, and read or write. His bookshelves were full of stories of chivalry and ancient Arab poetry. My grandfather was a professor of Arabic and English literature, but Arabic always felt like home for him. He would fascinate me with one of the long poetic verses he'd memorized by heart. My soul fluttered every time he read bedtime stories to me. Every day before I would wake up, I'd hear Jiddu's loud footsteps in the hallway. He would walk all the way to the kitchen, playing with utensils here and there. The smell of grilled cheese would wake me up. My grandfather would call out to me to come. I'd go to the kitchen rubbing my sleepy eyes and find a grilled halloumi sandwich and crisped French bread. On the plate are chopped tomatoes and cucumbers. The cheese melts softly in the bread, and when I crunch on the first bite, I taste love and the strong musky smell from my grandfather's hands that stuck to the crust as he made it. Days passed and Jiddu fell ill. The cancer spread through his bones and the bed chained him down. Days passed and the shahrur stopped visiting my poplar tree. It stopped singing in the morning, and my grandfather did not wake up to make me breakfast. Days passed and Jiddu passed away. The corridors went silent, his bookshelves eaten by dust and mites, his bed empty. Days passed and I would wake up to the sound of my buzzing alarm on the phone, wishing for more hours of sleep. Days pass and now I make my own halloumi sandwiches every day, but they taste bittersweet. When all the days pass, I just think of how much I miss my grandfather's smell sticking on the crusty edges of bread. And I think of how bread is eternal. I live in Saida, in southern Lebanon. Within it is a small bakery that opened 32 years ago and has endured wars and crises of all kinds. This little place has a big heart, and it is called Furun Lebanon, or the Lebanese bakery. The woman who owns the bakery is named Wadia. and she was the first woman baker to introduce saj to the city of Saida. Saj is, of course, a piece of dough that is delicately flattened into a thin layer and baked on a domed metal griddle where fire crackles underneath. Wadia makes the spreads for the saj herself. She visits her village Hassaniye and picks fresh thyme from her father's land, then grinds it and mixes it with the fresh homemade olive oil. Wadia also makes the kishik, the jibne, and the labne. My absolute favorite is the muhammara saj. Cheese melted into the bread with tiny chopped tomatoes and onions, with a dash of spicy paprika. The first time I visited Wadia's bakery, I was 7 years old. I used to go there with my mother's mother, my grandmother, Fatme. "Come on, get up. Now Wadia will close her bakery." My grandmother would yell at me in my bed at 6 a.m. so that we could run and catch Wadia's famous chocolate croissants, which often sold out by 6:30 a.m. When you ask the people of Saida about the best saj and croissants in the city, they smile and say, "Of course it's Wadia." The moment I would enter her bakery, she'd appear behind the counter, come closer to me, and give me a huge kiss on my cheek. "Your light is radiating in my bakery," she would say in a cheerful and lively tone of voice. I always believed, however, that it was her light that lit up her bakery and that made the people of Saida come to her. If you ask her what she thinks about when she makes the saj dough, Wadia says,
Nothing. I just work with all love and patience. I only think and feel that I am doing this with so much love. I think of how it will look, how I will present it to other people. Is it tasty? Is it not tasty? I only think about whether I am producing the best quality, and that's it.
On some days when my dad craved a saj, we would visit Wadia. But since I started working and attending university, I stopped going to her bakery. But one day, as I took my usual walk back home from the gym, I suddenly craved Wadia's saj bread. So I followed my craving to her bakery, hoping that her shop was still open. When I arrived, she immediately recognized me and said, "I was just about to close my bakery, but God wants to bless you with a saj manouche." I smiled and we sat down over saj and some tea, striking a conversation that took me years back. I observed her gestures, the way she spoke, smiled at strangers, cracked jokes, and laughed loudly. And I suddenly saw how much she looks like my late grandmother. Both women were naturally beautiful. They have refined, almond-shaped eyes, soft rosy lips and cheeks, and a heart-shaped face. Just as my thoughts drifted to my grandmother, Wadia starts to tell me about her grandmother.
My grandmother is the one who taught me how to make bread. And if I didn't know, she would burn me in my hand. She would burn my hand so I can learn. When I finally opened the bakery, and God gave us a lot, and blessed us with even more, I told her, "Thanks, Teta. I love what I do. I love to work, I love the dough, and I give all my heart into the work I do."
Wadia works a lot and never takes the day off, not because she wants the money, but because she just doesn't want to sit around. She doesn't want to be like her neighbors, who gossip and talk about other women because they have nothing else to do except carry coffee trays here and there.
At the beginning of my marriage, I used to work in Saida. I would just leave everything and go out because I can't stay in one place all the time. I love to work, and I love to move.
Like Wadia, my grandmother feared sitting and feared staying in the same place forever. Like Jiddo, she would wake up before everyone, before the birds even. She would rise from her bed and pray in her heart. My teta used to tell me, I don't need to prostrate myself on the ground for God to hear me. As the cancer began to take over my grandmother's body, she would lift and move her legs with her hands, push through the day, and still find the energy to work instead of just sitting around. On our last outing with my grandmother, she looked very tired and frail. We were going to have lunch in a restaurant somewhere in the mountains with my mom and sister, but she fell asleep in the car, and there was a lot of silence and sadness in that void. Teta felt bad that she was ill during our outing with her, and later that evening she sent this voice note to my sister and I.
Have a good morning, ya teta. May God not deprive me of this voice. I miss you, Allah. It's true that yesterday we went out and didn't have fun, but I want to take one day from morning until night and go to a very far place and laugh and sing and dance. Inshallah soon enough, teta. I love you. I love you till death.
2 weeks after that last voice note, on December 11th, 2020, I got a phone call from my grandmother. Her voice was joyful, but tinged with exhaustion and lots of heavy breathing. She was telling me that the next time we come over to her house, she wanted to make us her favorite dishes, ملوخية and فاصوليا. Teta's last words to me on that phone call were, "Go on and live your life. There is nothing in this life worth being sad about. There is nothing in this life. Go, have fun, smile, laugh, and be happy." As life and grief took me to many dark places, I forgot Teta's last words to me. But sitting there with Wadia, she seemed to look right into my soul and said,
Thank God. I'm always like that. I always think that there is nothing worth being sad about in this life. There's nothing in this life. Whatever God gives me, I'm satisfied with it. If He gave me a lot, or if He gave me a little, if He gave me nothing, I am satisfied.
Wadia's last words to me were a reminder to keep going, to not falter back and dig myself a hole. As I ate the sage bread she had shaped with her hands, I was tasting Jiddo's grilled halloumi sandwich. I was tasting the fasulia that Teta used to make for me when she was still healthy enough to cook. This sage bread contains all the love that was and is. I heard the shahrur singing once again, calming my heart. It has been 2 years now since I wrote that piece, The Eternity of Bread. And now I sit and think of how grief has changed for me. I still wear my grandfather's turtle necklace that he gave me when I turned 15. I moved countries, and it still seems that every single time the sun rises and the call for prayer starts, I remember him. Today I teach at a school, and I pack my own halloumi sandwiches with cucumbers. Today, I am on my own, but I am my own. And somehow I'm grieving parts of me that have died as well. I hold on to my grandfather's necklace, but I couldn't bring Wadia's sage with me, so I had to leave my grandmother in Lebanon. Between Wadia's bakery that I visited one last time, she greeted me with a loud, welcoming smile, just like my grandmother would when she saw me. And I sat with her and ate her za'atar sage with pineapple juice. That last taste of home. That bread that lingers with the warmth of my grandmother. Eternal, but somehow fading in the back of my memory. I left that bread in Lebanon and moved. And although some things move with us, there are some memories we leave behind. and I have moved to a new place that has no trace of them. The saj does not taste the same here, because Wadia is not here to make it. It saddens me that I was limited with the luggage I was to carry, but it taught me some form of humbleness and gratitude, some form of tawakkul, submitting to Allah when things go wrong. I walk the desert now, sand replacing flour, time moving. There is not one moment in life where we stop grieving.
The English translation of Wadia's words was read by Hassan Naba. The translation of her grandmother's words was read by Jana Kassab. We Are the Ones Who Live Here was produced by Ben Murad and me, Farah Khatib. Our associate producer is Lyne Jradi. Our editorial team includes Rita Mhanna, Rana Baghdadi, Ilyas Dimadjian, Maya Adra, Nasreen Azizi, Jennifer Nasrallah, and Leticia Harib. Our sound producer is Wilson Bediner. Our music was made by Rafi Ghali, aka Tsatsa. We want to thank our Season 2 hero, Aisha Ghazzoul, and our Season 2 sponsors, Stephanie Barr, Jay Schubert, and Michelle Murad for their exceptional support. We couldn't have done this without you. This podcast was also made possible with the support of the Center for American Studies and Research, KZAR, at the American University of Beirut. We want to hear your stories of life in Lebanon, or just what you think of the show. Reach out to us on Instagram at WeLebanonPod. You can also email us at WeLebanonPod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.